How to turn saving into investing, step-by-step path. Have you ever looked at your savings account and thought, I'm doing everything right, so why does real wealth still feel so far away? It's a frustrating feeling. You work hard, avoid unnecessary spending, and watch your savings slowly grow. Yet somehow, every year, everything around you becomes more expensive. Groceries cost more. Rent goes up. Even a simple cup of coffee costs more than it did just a few years ago. The truth is, saving money is one of the smartest financial habits you can build, but it's only the beginning. Saving protects your money. Investing gives it the opportunity to grow. Most people never make that transition. Not because they aren't intelligent. Not because they don't earn enough. They simply don't know when to move from saving to investing, or they're too afraid to take the first step. Sarah was one of those people. At 27, she had saved nearly $8,000. No credit card debt. A steady job. She had done exactly what everyone told her to do, save first and avoid unnecessary risks. But every time she opened an investment app, the same questions filled her mind. What if I lose everything? What if I start right before the market crashes? What if I'm simply not ready? If you've ever had those thoughts, you're not alone. Millions of people feel exactly the same way. But here's something most people don't realize. The biggest risk isn't always investing too early. Sometimes, it's waiting too long. And before this video ends, I'll show you the one mistake that quietly costs ordinary people thousands, sometimes even hundreds of thousands, of dollars over a lifetime. So, how do you know when it's time to stop saving and finally start investing? Let's begin with the first step. The first step has nothing to do with buying stocks. In fact, if someone tells you to invest every dollar you have without a plan, they're giving you dangerous advice. Before your money can grow, it needs a strong foundation. Think of building wealth like building a house. No one starts with the roof. They begin with the foundation, because everything else depends on it. The same is true for investing. That's where Sarah almost made a costly mistake. She was ready to move every dollar from her savings account into the market. She believed that the faster she invested, the faster she would become wealthy. Fortunately, she stopped for a moment and asked a simple question. What happens if my car breaks down next month, or I suddenly lose my job? The answer changed everything. Without an emergency fund, even the best investment plan can fall apart. One unexpected expense could force you to sell your investments at the worst possible time, turning a temporary problem into a permanent loss. That's why experienced investors don't rush. They prepare first. Most financial experts recommend saving enough to cover at least 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses before investing aggressively. That emergency fund isn't there to make you rich. It's there to protect your future decisions. Red circle Adrian Cole appears. Your emergency fund is like a financial seatbelt. You hope you'll never need it, but you'll be grateful it's there when life surprises you. Now here's something that surprises many beginners. Some people earn excellent salaries, yet they still struggle to build wealth. Others earn much less but slowly become financially independent. Why? Because income alone doesn't create wealth. Systems do. And the next step is the system that separates people who save money from people whose money starts working for them. Before we get there, there's one common mistake that silently destroys investment returns long before the market ever has. And chances are, you've seen someone make it. Almost everyone knows someone who earns a good income but never seems to get ahead. At first glance, it doesn't make sense. If they earn more money, shouldn't they be building more wealth? Not necessarily. Imagine two friends. Both earn the same salary. Both save the same amount each month. But one of them carries credit card debt with an interest rate of 20%, while the other has no high-interest debt at all. Who do you think reaches financial freedom first? The answer is obvious. Every dollar paying 20% interest is working against you before your investments even have a chance to work for you. That's why paying off high-interest debt is one of the best investments you can make. A guaranteed 20% return by eliminating expensive debt is something the stock market simply can't promise. Red circle Adrian Cole appears. Think of it this way. Trying to invest while carrying high-interest debt is like filling a bucket with water while there's a hole in the bottom. Before you pour more in, fix the leak. Once Sarah understood this, she changed her plan. Instead of rushing into the market, she built her emergency fund, cleared her remaining debt, and created something even more powerful. A system. Because successful investors don't rely on motivation. They rely on habits. Every payday, Sarah automatically transferred a small amount into her investment account before she had the chance to spend it. She didn't wait for the perfect market. She didn't watch financial news every morning. And she definitely didn't try to guess what stocks would explode next. She simply followed the same process, month after month. At first, the progress felt almost invisible. Then something remarkable happened. Her investments began earning returns. Those returns started generating returns of their own. And little by little, her money was doing something her savings account could never do. It was beginning to grow by itself. But this is exactly where most beginners make another costly mistake. They become impatient. And impatience has destroyed more fortunes than almost any market crash. The good news? Avoiding that mistake is much easier than you think, once you understand how real wealth is actually built. The biggest myth in investing is that you need a lot of money to get started. You don't. In fact, waiting until you have enough is one of the main reasons people never begin at all. History has shown that consistency almost always beats perfection. Imagine planting two trees. One is planted today. The other is planted 5 years from now. Even if you water them the same way, which tree will be larger 20 years later? The answer has nothing to do with talent. It has everything to do with time. That's exactly how investing works. Time is the one asset you can never earn back. Red circle Adrian Cole appears. The market rewards patience far more often than it rewards prediction. You don't have to know what happens next week. You need a strategy that still works 20 years from now. This is why many experienced investors don't spend their days searching for the next hot stock. Instead, they focus on something much less exciting, but far more powerful. They invest regularly. Whether the market is up or down. Whether the headlines are optimistic or filled with fear. They keep buying. This simple approach removes emotion from the equation. Instead of asking, "Is today the perfect day to invest?" they ask a better question. "Have I followed my plan this month?" That single change in mindset transforms investing from a gamble into a habit. One of the strongest supporters of this philosophy was John C. Bogle, the founder of Vanguard. He believed that for most people, consistently investing in broadly diversified index funds would outperform constantly trying to pick winning stocks. His message was simple. Own the market. Be patient. And let time do the heavy lifting. Years earlier, Warren Buffett shared a remarkably similar idea. He often reminded investors that the stock market transfers money from the impatient to the patient. Two different investors. The same lesson. Building wealth isn't about making one brilliant decision. It's about making hundreds of small, disciplined decisions over many years. And that's where Sarah finally understood something that had been in front of her all along. She didn't need to become an expert overnight. She just needed to take the first step, and keep taking the next one. But one final mistake still traps millions of people. Ironically, it looks responsible. And it's probably the reason so many hard-working savers never become confident investors. So, what was the mistake that quietly holds most people back? It isn't choosing the wrong stock. It isn't starting with too little money. And it isn't waiting for the next market crash. The biggest mistake is waiting until you feel ready. The truth is, almost nobody ever feels ready. David didn't. He started with a small monthly investment that barely seemed to matter. Some months the market went up. Other months it fell. Instead of chasing headlines, he stayed with his plan. Years later, he realized something incredible. His money wasn't growing because he was smarter than everyone else. It was growing because he had given it time. That's the real path from saving to investing. Save with a purpose. Build your safety net. Eliminate expensive debt. Invest consistently. Then let patience do what prediction never can. Remember, wealth isn't built in a single day. It's built through hundreds of small decisions that most people are never disciplined enough to repeat. So let me ask you one final question. If someone handed you $10,000 today, would you keep it in a savings account, or would you put part of it to work by investing? Share your answer in the comments. I'd love to hear how you would make that decision. And if you found this guide useful, subscribe to Investor's Edge, where we turn complex money concepts into simple, practical strategies that help you build long-term wealth, one smart decision at a time.